All right, walk us through that first day when you have the crash.
Yeah, happened really about halfway through the stage. You know, in cycling, we don't really have intermission or timeouts. You know, halfway through the race, generally, we just have a bunch of staff members on the side of the road handing us water bottles and food, and we blow by them at 30 miles an hour trying to, you know, grab them. You know, and we're not perfect. A rider in front of me dropped his bag of food, which sent a bottle kind of straight into my front wheel, and riding on tires that are less than an inch wide, I hit that full on, sent me straight off the road, headfirst into a spectator and straight into a ditch. So I landed pretty heavily on my shoulder, took the biggest impact, but yeah, painful day.
What were the injuries that you suffered?
So I ended up needing about 6 or 7 stitches right above my eye, my left eye, and then I fractured the spine of my scapula on my left side. So fortunately, everything was stable and secure to allow me to continue. But you know, that being said, it was still quite painful. Not how you want to start the Tour de France with 2,000 miles ahead of you.
But also, and I've said this to the audience, that's really where the story starts, is you got hurt, and probably most riders might not even get on the bike, or they wouldn't last the entire Tour de France. What was driving you, motivating you to complete the Tour de France?
Yeah, I mean, I spent 2017, the summer, I spent it at home on the couch watching the Tour after racing it in 2016, and I knew how challenging that was and how painful that was for me to watch it from afar, knowing that, you know, I should be at the race and I'm capable of being there. And so for me, the thought of doing that was far more painful than riding along with a broken bone. At least that's what I thought at first. So.
But you were raising money too with each stage, weren't you, with the Tour de France?
Yeah, and that's really where the motivation kicked in after the first stage. You know, I got my start into cycling in Houston, Texas at the Alkek Velodrome when I was 10 years old. Did my first bike race out there. And, you know, as I've kind of gone through the ranks of cycling, you know, all the way to the Tour de France, you know, I've always held the Velodrome there close to my heart. You know, they suffered dearly from Hurricane Harvey last year, and I've kind of been racking my brain as much as I could just to find ways to help them out, you know, repair the damage, and also just, you know, get more kids on bikes in Houston. And so after the first stage, I was kind of laying in bed. I was like, look, I could sit here and throw myself a little pity party, woe is me, and feel bad for myself, or I can kind of try and turn this into something positive, you know, and try and make something good out of a pretty poor situation. And so that's where, you know, motivation came to start this fundraiser for the Velodrome. I said I'd put $100 in for every stage that I could finish. And at that point, I wasn't sure if it was I wasn't even sure if I could take the start line the next day, but, you know, just immediately seeing the support and generosity of others kind of willed me every step of the way, you know, from the stage 2 all the way to the final stage in Paris. Just to seeing the contributions that everyone was making was absolutely incredible. It blew my mind every day, and it was by far my biggest motivator to continue in the race.
And Lawson is being humble. He helped raise $244,000 throughout the tour. What was it like, that final stage, when you're going down the Champs-Élysées in Paris?
Yeah, you know, it's a pretty incredible moment. You know, as a cyclist, you dream up of racing on the Champs-Élysées in Paris, you know, finishing the Tour de France, and you know, seeing the Arc de Triomphe for the first time, riding on the cobbles, you know, riding into Paris, you know, it's a moment that gives you goosebumps, and you know, knowing the fight that I had to get through just to make it there, albeit in last place, you know, is a very, very special moment for me. I had my wife, my parents, my brother there after the finish, you know, just waiting for me and welcoming me. So it was a truly special day. You know, I'm so proud, you know, of the fact that I was able to fight through and kind of make something better out of a poor situation. And yeah, that's a day I'll truly never forget.
For more Dan Patrick Show, tune to Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV or download the Dan Patrick Show app.